Working in retail is never easy, especially when you have to deal with a bunch of crazies. Welcome to this episode of Tales from Retail. Our first tale is from MacLeod. In the interests of anonymizing the people involved, let's say this incident happened around the time the Death Star was built. Updates will be post-dated when they are released from the ancient archives. For our cast, we have the owner, the lovely boss man who is gentle and kind but has nerves of steel, the customer, someone who doesn't understand how business works, and me. Backstory: so I work with firearms. The laws where I work say that a firearms dealer holds the firearm until it is licensed to a person. For various reasons, this can be easy-ish, or it can be hard. We charge storage at $1 per day to store a firearm. We have lots of people who happily leave their firearms with us for years at a time because reasons. Story: customer bought a firearm. It is a very nice one. They chose well. It arrived at the store 5 years before Death Star construction. They applied to license it and were denied. That sucks. They applied 2 more times. Denied 2 more times. This took 4 years to play out. While this was going on, customer never paid storage. Owner called customer and told him fees were owed. Customer always promised to come in and sort it. To the surprise of no one, customer never came in and sorted it out. Now, we can see the Death Star orbiting peacefully over our skies, and owner asks me to help. I message customer and let him know fees are due, and if he didn't want to pay fees, he could let us sell it to recover costs. He calls and says he didn't know he owed money, but he would come in and sort it out. Shockingly, he didn't. 8 weeks later, I messaged him again. I informed him that we needed payment within a week or we would sell the firearm, deduct costs, and pass on the remainder. No answer. I gave him 2 weeks because I'm a nice guy. I messaged customer and told him we would be selling the firearm because he hadn't paid and giving him the remaining balance. No answer. I advertised the firearm and had someone offer the full amount within the hour, which was 50% above his purchase price because collectibles. I messaged the customer and informed him that he had a few more days to pay storage or it would be sold. Phone rings. Customer is livid. He asks, how can I sell something that's not mine? He was never told he had to pay money for storage. He's taking this to solicitors, etc. I remind myself that with the Death Star overhead, all problems will soon be over. Customer says he will come to the store within a few days and sort it. Do not sell the firearm. Owner said he will chat with the customer and work it out. Not sure what archives will reveal about that chat, but I'm looking forward to it. I like how the customer pretends like they didn't know they owed fees when in fact they most likely had that very clearly explained to them when the place began holding the firearm. This next tale is by E.B. Stubbs. I, 24 male, work in an apparel store. We're very busy this time of year. Today, while making sure guests were finding things alright, I noticed this boy who suddenly notices a girl and decides to follow her. This girl had a total RBF. She would turn down different aisles and he would follow. Eventually, she left the building and I promptly stepped in his way to keep him from following her and her family out. Aren't toddlers adorable? To clarify, the girl was about 3 and the boy was about 2. The boy really wanted to play. It was adorable. The girl also had her own toy shopping cart with her. I thought you all could use a wholesome Halloween trick with this short story. Happy Halloween! I love stories like this because they're so wholesome. You don't have the horrible Karen appearing, or just some other person trying to cause problems. This next tale is from Lucky470. I'm working as a cashier and naturally, you get to meet all kinds of people on the job. It was near the end of my shift, and I'd had some especially nice customers, so I was in a pretty good mood when Dude Bro arrived. Anyone could immediately see he was pissed. He comes up to me and just slams his items down. I ring up his items while he mumbles under his breath. His total comes to approximately €9. He hands me a €50 bill and says, "Give me 2 tenors." Being the helpful fool that I am, I ask him if he would prefer 4 €10 or 2 10 and 1 20. His response, "Yo, I said give me 2 tenors." Me feeling a bit sassy, yeah, communication can be difficult at times. "What did you just say?" I decided to leave it at that because I didn't want to risk an escalation, or my good mood for that matter. Dude bro picks up his things and while doing so, dropped the 2 €10 bills without noticing. At this point, I'm just staring at him, while my shoulder devil and angel started a violent cage match and he's ranting about some machine and purse store not working properly. Sadly, there are no children in line which might pocket the money and be happy about it, but instead only 2 nice old ladies who I know will give the money to me, where it will just end up in the registry. So with the guy already going, "Why are you looking at me like that? What's your problem?" I point out that he dropped his money. He goes silent, picks it up and leaves. For the rest of my shift I debate whether he deserved to lose the money, but done is done. Until the next day, where he shows up again. He was paying at another registry and seemed to be less angry, so I just ignored him until he showed up next to me after paying. He actually came back to apologize for his behavior the previous day because, and I quote, "I was so angry and mean, but you still told me when I dropped my money." I thanked him for apologizing and he went on his way. I felt fucking amazing for the rest of the day, and to this day, it is one of my favorite customer interactions I've had on the job. If I'd been in a worse mood that day, I probably would have kept silent to punish him for being so rude, but I'm glad that I didn't. I like how this person actually apologized for their behavior. You don't see that, and you'll never see a Karen do that. I'm glad that this all worked out beautifully. Our next tale is by Geyer Surfer. Back in my retail days, I once had a customer try to return a power bar, an extension cord with multiple outlets, often with surge protectors. She claimed it didn't work, so I tried it out. I plugged in a nearby lamp and it worked just fine. Despite this, she kept insisting it didn't work. This was getting weird, so I asked her to show me how it didn't work, because it worked just fine for me. She plugged the lamp into the power bar, and plugged the power bar into itself. The look of triumph on her face when the lamp did not light up was really something to see. It took way too long to explain that the power bar does not, in fact, make power. Once that sunk in, she demanded a full refund on the power bar and would be bringing back a television she'd bought with it. Her plan had been to run the television on the power bar to save electricity. At no point did she seem to see any humor, irony, or sheer idiocy in any of this. Never would have believed people like this exist if it weren't for working retail. The fact that she thought plugging the power bar into itself would actually create power is just funny in its own regard. And the fact that she couldn't see any humor in this, it's probably because she was embarrassed, but oh well. This next tale is from Raygun Wedge. So this is not really my story. Our evening manager told me about this and I felt the need to share. At 9:15 p.m. a customer calls wishing to speak with the meat department. The department closes at 9 p.m., so the evening manager, Steve, takes the call. A man wants to know how many of the strip steaks we have on sale are left. Steve checks and tells him there are about 7 left. Man thanks him and hangs up. 15 minutes later, the man calls back. He doesn't believe Steve and wants him to check again. Although annoyed, Steve agrees to check and tells the man there are now 6 strip steaks. The man shouts angrily, "I knew it! You lied to me!" To which Steve calmly responds, "No sir, another customer bought one since your last call." The man retorts, "We'll see about that. I'm coming down there right now, and you'd better have those steaks." So a little before 10 p.m., this middle-aged man comes to the registers with a few strip steaks asking for the manager. Steve comes down and the customer rips into him. "You lied to me," the man accused. "You said there were 6 steaks, now there are only 4. Just barely keeping his cool, Steve replies, "There were when you called, but like last time, another customer bought some." Now fuming, the man demands that Steve go back and cut him some more strip steaks. Steve refuses since he's not a trained cutter, and even if he was, the department had been cleaned for the night. The man then demands a rain check for 30 strip steaks, since this is the last day of the sale. Steve says no, he can give him a rain check for up to 4 steaks, and to make up for his troubles, he'll let him have one of the 4 steaks he's buying now for free. Not good enough for this customer. He leaves without any steaks or rain check and promises he'll be calling the store director in the morning for such terrible customer service. As far as we know, the complaint has not yet been made. The complaint probably hasn't been made because he probably has to call repeatedly and then accuse them of not filing the complaint and lying to him. Outside of all of that, the customer was clearly in the wrong. And our final tale is by Kohanka. I'm like the rookie apprentice in a store meat department run by 2 30-plus year pros. They're good at being meat guys. When they grind our burger, individual trays typically weigh between 0.95 and 1.1 pounds, give or take, with some outliers in the 0.80s. Today, a lady was digging through all our packs of ground beef on display, looking very dissatisfied, so I asked her if I could help her. She said, and I'm quoting, "I'm trying to find 1 pound of beef, but the closest I can find is 0.98. My recipe calls for 1 pound. I don't understand why you do this. See? There's all this extra room in the tray for the extra little bit." Wow, it was not hard to laugh. I was just bringing out a fresh cart of burgers, so she had more options, settling on the 1.03 pounds. But as she searched, I tried to explain. We don't exactly weigh each tray as it's ground, but the meat cutters do their best. It's all by eye. I think she actually understood for the most part, but she definitely left slightly dissatisfied with her purchase of beef that wasn't a perfect 1.0 pounds on weight. I feel like if she's being that anal on the weight of the meat, then she probably doesn't realize that a tiny bit more or a tiny bit less isn't going to make or break the recipe. Alright, that's enough tales for the day. Well, that wraps up this episode of Tales from Retail. If you liked the video, please drop a like, share my content on all of your social media, subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to hit that bell so you're notified every time I upload. And drop a comment down below. It really helps with the algorithm and helps my channel be seen by new people. Thanks for watching, thanks to my patrons, have a great day and stay safe out there.